Today's news highlights. Date February 20, 2025. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump plans to impose tariffs of about 25% on auto, chip, and pharmaceutical imports, which are expected to be implemented on April 2 and give companies time to adjust. Trump stressed that import tariffs will encourage companies to return to the United States and create jobs. This policy may be combined with multiple tariffs and affect global trade. Experts believe that Taiwan should actively adjust its tariff structure with the United States and seize the opportunity to expand the U.S. market, rather than responding passively. Trump's move is aimed at solving the U.S. economic problems, and Taiwan should look at it rationally and look for business opportunities. News highlights: on February 19, the Legislative Yuan sent the central government's general budget for this year and amendments to the law on the allocation of fiscal revenue and expenditure, which originally included 3.1324 trillion yuan and reduced the total budget by 113.5 billion yuan. The administrative body questioned the legitimacy of the review report and said that the order in which the two cases came into force could be disputed. The Kuomintang called on the DPP to deal with it calmly and not to make trouble. The government and the opposition are divided on this issue, and the subsequent impact remains to be seen. News highlights: China's real estate market continues to be sluggish, and the sales of the top 100 real estate companies fell in January, and Bank is expected to lose 45 billion yuan. Due to the 3-high model and the 3-red line policy, developers are in a shortage of funds, a debt crisis, and frequent thunderstorms. Housing prices have plummeted by 30% since 2021, a large number of unfinished properties have not been sold, household assets have shrunk, consumer demand has weakened, and the economy has been hit hard. News highlights: Yuanta Taiwan 50,0050, has lowered its management fees and plans to split its shares, and it is expected that the price per share will drop below $40 after 145, so as to lower the investment threshold and improve liquidity. Fubon Taiwan Kaiji 50,006208, may follow. The stock split only increases the number of shares, the total market value remains the same, and the dividend distribution will also be adjusted proportionally and will not be doubled. Investors should pay attention to the fundamentals and market trends, and do not blindly follow the trend. News highlights: the new Taipei city government announced 6 potential sites for the Big Dome, including Bansha Gymnasium, Shulin Big Orange Garden, Three Gorges Wheat Garden, Danhai New Town, Dujin Judicial Park and Shulin Machine 5 site. These locations have the advantages of sufficient area and convenient transportation, and eliminate the lack of hinterland such as Xinzhuang Baseball Stadium and Bangqiao Stadium. The city government expects to narrow down the scope to 2 priority locations within 6 months, and finalize the project within this year, hoping to drive the development of the surrounding area and meet the needs of arts, culture, and sports in the north. News highlights: AI robots have gradually moved from industrial fields to daily life and become the focus of the market. As industrial robots and collaborative robots evolve into humanoid robots, there is a huge demand for them that can mimic human movements and integrate into everyday life and the workplace. Zhang Yinshench, manager of the First Gold Global AI Robot Fund, pointed out that although the hardware technology threshold is not high, the development of intelligent AI systems is the key. Investors can pay attention to Taiwan manufacturers that benefit from the trend of AI and robotics and look for investment targets with growth potential. News highlights: the pre-tax losses of the 3 pure online banks shrank by 17%, moving towards a flat profit and loss, but the cumulative losses increased to 7.6 billion yuan, an annual increase of 43%, and major shareholders may face pressure to increase capital. Line Bank has the fastest loss reduction and the smallest increase in accumulated losses, and Rakuten Bank's losses have increased slightly, and the bank's losses will shrink in the future. Business diversification has helped growth, but it will take time for losses to stop bleeding. News highlights: Yuninch Technology, 7734, is expected to be listed on the OTC on February 26, with a share of 1,250 yuan, attracting 80,408 people to participate in the public subscription, and freezing funds amounting to 100.51 billion yuan. The average price of the cabinet is 1,650 yuan, the difference between the subscription price is 400 yuan, and investors are expected to earn 400,000 yuan if they win the lot, with a return rate of 32%. The sponsoring brokerage is Taixin Securities, and the CO sponsoring brokerage is Hong Yuan Securities. In 2023, the revenue of Yuninch Technology will be 1.185 billion yuan, the net profit after tax will be 548 million yuan, and the EPS will be 30.72 yuan, and the revenue in the first 3 quarters of 2024 will reach 1.267 billion yuan, and the EPS will be 30.28 yuan. News highlights: the Executive Yuan will discuss the amendment to the civil law today to relax the conditions for divorce, so that a husband and wife can request a divorce after 3 years of separation, and clearly stipulate that the period of authority to claim alimony is 2 years, and they will no longer receive alimony after remarriage. In the current provisions, if one party is at fault, he or she cannot file a divorce lawsuit, and this restriction will be removed after the amendment. The new provisions include the possibility of alimony for those who have difficulties in living after divorce and adjustments to the distribution of marital property. The amendments aim to improve the fairness of the divorce system, conform to international standards, and be retroactive. News highlights 33-year-old actor Wang Delu was arrested on suspicion of smashing millions of false certificates and pretending to be sick to evade military service, and will enlist in the army on March 13 after paying bail. He became popular in 2015 for the movie My Girlhood, and then terminated the contract with his agent Chai Haiping, went to China for development, and obtained a considerable salary. Although his career was developing smoothly, the desertion incident caused controversy and was criticized for forgetting his roots. Wang Delu's words and deeds in the past have caused a lot of controversy, and his career is facing challenges in the future. News highlights Apple has unveiled the iPhone 16e, a new member of the iPhone 16 series, replacing the original SE4, which will open pre-orders at 9 p.m. on February 21. The iPhone 16e features a 6.1-inch display, Face ID, a USB-C charging port, a 48-megapixel main camera, and supports the A18 chip and Apple Intelligence. Available in black and white, the price starts at $21,900 for 128GB and goes on sale on February 28. The iPhone SE series will also be removed from the shelves. The iPhone 16e adds action buttons for more convenient functions, and there are no motion islands and camera control buttons. News highlights on December 6, 2024, female singer Wang Yuxin drove a Porsche under the influence of alcohol and stopped on the pedestrian crossing at the intersection of New Taipei-Tom Sui Road, with a alcohol test value of up to 0.92 milligrams, and was arrested on the spot. She later expressed remorse and apologized, admitting that drunk driving was dangerous and unacceptable. The Shillin District Court sentenced Wang Yuxin to 3 months in prison for failing to drive safely, with the option to pay a fine of 90,000 yuan. This case has aroused social concern and highlighted the threat of drunk driving to public safety. News highlights the national treasure diva Zhang Hui is about to make a comeback to hold a tour, and it triggers the memories of singer Yu Xiajuan. Yu Xiajuan participated in the Zhang Hui Cup singing contest more than 20 years ago, won the championship and received the award from Zhang Hui herself. This experience made her regard Zhang Hui as an idol. Although Yu Xiajuan chose to live in a family at that time, she returned to music with the encouragement of her eldest son, and finally made a successful debut with the release of her debut album Holding Hands Together. Her new album is also supported by Golden Song producer Liao Weizi, with whom she sings the title song. News highlights the Democratic Progressive Party's Kaohsiung mayoral primary election is fiercely contested, and the incumbent legislator Lin Dayhua is leading in the polls, but recently it was rumored that she was suspected of assistant fees, and the prosecutor searched her legislative yuan, Kaohsiung service office and residence, and brought her back for investigation. Lin Dayhua held a blank piece of paper in his hand when he was arraigned, shouting to the media that politics interfered in the judiciary and judicial interference in the primary election. She said that she has always complied with the law, will cooperate with the investigation, and looks forward to recovering her innocence. Within the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, there is fierce competition for Kaohsiung mayoral candidates, and other would-be candidates are also facing challenges. News highlights recently, UMC founder CAO Xing Cheng and media person Xia Hanbing broke out in a heated dispute after Xia Hanbing published CAO Xing Cheng's private photos and accused him of being a Chinese junior. CAO Xing Cheng strongly retorted, saying that the photos had been altered by Xia Hanbing, and publicly declared that the photos violated his privacy, and threatened to file a lawsuit for 100 million yuan. He believes the move is an attempt to slander him and obstruct his recall, and implies that the photos may have been illegally obtained by the CCP. Xia Hanbing choked back, questioning whether Mr. CAO admitted it was a private photo and expressing confusion at Mr. CAO's reaction. Kuomintang legislators Su Qiaxin and spokesman Li Mingxian also expressed their views on the incident, which sparked heated discussions in society. News highlights 33-year-old actor Wang Mainland was arrested for evading military service and forging documents, and after paying 150,000 yuan on bail, he will enlist in the army in March for 1 year of replacement service, and will be restricted from leaving the country. He will travel to Chenggong Ridge in Taichung to receive more rigorous emergency rescue and disaster preparedness training. Failure to enlist in the armed forces is punishable by imprisonment for up to 5 years. News highlights Goddess of Wealth Wang Yuxin was arrested for drunk driving in December 2024 with a alcohol test value of 0.92 mg/L and was sent to the police for the crime of public danger. The Shillin District Court sentenced him to 3 months in prison, fined 90,000 yuan, and revoked his driver's license for 2 years. Wang Yuxin apologized through the brokerage company, saying that he could not forgive himself, and would devote himself to social welfare in the future and warn the public with his own experience. News highlights CAO Yan, the queen of the Golden Song, was harassed by overseas fans for more than a year, and the other party threatened to force you to death and be willing, and even flew to Taiwan to block people and snatch luggage at Bangqiao high-speed rail station, and the scene almost got out of control. CAO Yan has called the police and hired a lawyer to protect herself and her family. She revealed her inner fear on IG, hoping that the outside world would pay attention to the problem of harassment of artists and get support and assistance. News highlights: former member Sun Sheng of Anti-Bone Boy was caught in a sex scandal, and the head of the troupe was also affected, and former member Wei Ji admitted that he had heard that the two were filming intimate videos and reminded them to restrain themselves. Brother Wei revealed that in the past, some girls complained of discomfort after filming, but he could only remind him to pay attention to safety and could not interfere too much. Regarding the controversy between Sun Sheng and Cool, Brother Wei said that he did not want to make matters worse, and only said in a low-key manner that he left because of different concepts. News highlights: actress Da.S, Su Ziwan, died of pneumonia due to flu and pneumonia in Japan at the age of 48, her body has been cremated, and her ashes are temporarily placed in a mansion, and she is expected to be buried in a tree this week. Friend Ye Yongja mourned for days, sharing photos with Big S and anecdotes from the past, revealing that her son was once attracted by Big S's beauty, and humorously laughed at himself like a helper. Big S's fresh and fairy photos aroused feelings and nostalgia among netizens. News highlights: actress Xiaoa was kicked out of the Xianxian family by Wu Zongxian because of a scandal about the relationship between Courgette and Song Yubeo, and pointed out that the whistleblower was his former friend Yuexi. Yuexi denied and considered legal action, but Xiaoa did not respond for the time being. Internet celebrity Chen Yi criticized Xiaoa for loving gossip, sour her for staying in the Xianxian family, and pointed out that Wu Zongxian often broke the news about other people's privacy. News highlights: YouTuber Sun Sheng was involved in a sexual assault and buttocks case, which sparked controversy and was cut by the Anti-Bone Boy group. In the face of criticism from the outside world and a large number of fake news, Sun Sheng apologized to the victim and his girlfriend in a black picture on IG, and promised to receive gender equality courses and psychological counseling to reflect on his growth. The incident attracted attention. Sun Sheng was exposed to suicidal thoughts, and his friend DK advised him to accept treatment and stay away from the internet. News highlights: Education Minister Cheng Yingyao announced that in order to protect Taiwan's young people from the influence of the United Front, Taiwan's public and private universities will be completely banned from cooperating with Huaqiao University in China and Jinan University in Guangzhou, and high school vocational schools will be prohibited from assisting students to study in these two schools. In order to safeguard national security and young people's national awareness, the two schools currently absorb about 2,100 Taiwanese students. News highlights: after China's Shandong Taishan Football Club played against South Korea's Gwangju FC in the AFC Champions Elite League, some Chinese fans held up photos of Chun Doo-won and Kim Il-sung to mock South Korea, causing outrage among Korean netizens. Shandong Taishan then issued an apology statement, but before the game against Ulsan Hyundai Football Club on the 19th, it was suddenly announced that it would withdraw from the game due to the physical discomfort of all players, and the AFC subsequently disqualified it from the AFC Champions League and punished it. The outside world reacted strongly to the move, criticizing its provocative retreat. News highlights: Democratic Progressive Party legislator Lin Daehua was investigated and searched this morning, 20th, on suspicion of fraudulently receiving assistant fees. The prosecutor took away 4 boxes of evidence, and Lin Daehua emphasized political interference in the judiciary when he was brought into the investigation bureau. She said on Facebook that she wanted to protect her innocence and stressed that she had complied with the law in the past. Kaohsiung Mayor Chen Kamai and Huang Wenai, chairman of the Kaohsiung City Party Department of the Democratic Progressive Party, both expressed respect for the judicial investigation and looked forward to the early clarification of the truth. News highlights: after the explosion of Shinkong Mitsukoshi's Taichung Zhonggang store, the store will be closed for more than half a year, affecting about 4,000 workers. The Labor Bureau of the Taichung City government set up a special area to provide services, and held 2 explanatory sessions on labor rights and related resources on the 20th and 21st. So far, 28 workers have applied for severance. The city government will provide unemployment benefits, job transfer and vocational training assistance, and will hold employment events on the 21st and 22nd, inviting a number of companies to provide job vacancies to help workers re-enter the workforce. News highlights: a fire broke out in a private palace temple in Zongpu Township, Qi County on the 18th, and a 5-year-old boy surnamed Xiao was pressed under the god table and died tragically. After receiving the bad news from Dawen, the boy's father went south to deal with his son's funeral, and his grief was unbearable. The boy had just celebrated his 5th birthday 10 days ago and was having fun with his father, but the fire separated them forever. The Deputy County Magistrate of Qi County and the Social Affairs Bureau have stepped in to help the Xiao family's life get back on track. News highlights from today, 20th, the National Pension Insurance Maternity Payment, farmers' monthly retirement savings and old farmers' allowances will be distributed. Eligible mothers, if they give birth within 1 year of the validity period of the insurance extension and surrender, can receive nearly 40,000 yuan of maternity subsidies. Nationals who have reached the age of 65 and have participated in agricultural insurance for 15 years can receive 8,110 yuan of old farmer allowance. The farmers' monthly retirement savings are distributed according to their personal savings and income, and they can receive more than 10,000 yuan per month. The Labor Insurance Bureau reminded that by the end of February, there will be 13 payments that will be issued one after another, and the public can swipe the book to confirm. News highlights: a 16-year-old high school student underwent a lung tomography scan more than 6 months ago, which found ground glass nodules and was diagnosed with stage 0 to 1 lung cancer. Fortunately, after early surgery to remove the lesion, he recovered and returned to school. Dr. Chen Ziyi of Zhongshan University Medical College pointed out that ground glass nodules are more likely to develop into lung cancer, and young patients are detected earlier and can be treated in time, with a better prognosis. Although lung cancer is more common between the ages of 40 and 50, there is a clear trend towards younger people. The Ministry of Health and Welfare provides free low-dose CT screening for high-risk groups every 2 years, and early detection can help prevent the disease from worsening. News highlights: Su Ziwan died suddenly on the 2nd due to influenza complicated by pneumonia at the age of 48. When my friend Melody attended a fashion event on the 19th, she choked up and talked about it, calling on everyone to cherish every day, emphasizing that today is what we have. She also revealed that she currently has a friend who is developing, but she is not considering remarrying for the time being, and is focusing on personal growth. News highlights: the executive branch will approve a draft of the divorce system to amend the rules governing the grounds for divorce and alimony. The draft adds that a husband and wife can file for divorce after a cumulative separation of 3 years within 5 years, and removes the restriction on alimony claims by the innocent party. The right to claim alimony shall be extinguished if it is not exercised within 2 years from the date of divorce, and alimony from the previous marriage shall not be claimed after remarriage. In addition, the draft adjusts the order of maintenance obligations, maintenance rights, and amendments to the maintenance obligations of lineal blood relatives to comply with international anti-discrimination standards. News highlights: Luo Fulai, a 28-year-old genius girl of Chinese AI company DeepSeek, became famous for her participation in the research and development of the AI model DeepSeek V2, and was called an AI genius girl, and it was even rumored that Lei Jun, chairman of Xiaomi, intended to poach and offer an annual salary of more than 10 million yuan. However, Luo Fulai was not comfortable with this, and posted a message asking the internet to stop deifying her, and called on the media to stop hyping and let her concentrate on her work quietly. Her relatives confirmed that she had left DeepSeek and changed the guard, but whether she had switched to Xiaomi has not been made public. News highlights: Apple released the iPhone 16e, a new member of the iPhone 16 series, on the 20th, equipped with the A18 chip and supporting Apple Intelligence, which is currently the cheapest AI mobile phone. However, the iPhone 16e lacks MagSafe magnetic capability, which has disappointed many fans. Although the iPhone 16e has a 6.06-inch OLED display and a USB-C port, it only supports 7.5W Qi wireless charging, which does not provide efficient charging with MagSafe. This has led some consumers to believe that this model is oversimplified and lacks useful features. News highlights: the Dodgers' 23-year-old Japanese pitcher Rinchi Sasaki made his first live BP in spring training on the 20th, attracting a number of major league superstars such as Shohei Ohtani, Yoshin Yamamoto, Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts. Sasaki finished 2 innings with a steady performance, hitting only 2 hits in 27 balls and making 2 strikeouts for a maximum speed of 95 miles. In the face of a high-pressure environment, he showed calm and showed a strong mental quality. Baez and other teammates are confident in its future, calling it the future focus. News highlights: Des passed away due to pneumonia caused by influenza, and his ex-boyfriend Joe Yuman said at a fashion event on the 11th that he did not want to make his personal emotions public about the death of Big S, emphasizing that the emotions of his family members are the most important. It's not appropriate for us to say too much, we should focus on the people we should care about, he said. Regarding the fact that some netizens pretended to be him and posted an article, Joe Yuman admitted that this was the first time he had heard of it, and said that if the situation was serious, he would discuss it with the company, but he would not deal with the matter in particular. News highlights: John Markovich revealed in an interview that his refusal to appear in Marvel movies in the past was not due to artistic considerations, but because he didn't like the content of the film contract. He said that filming a green screen action movie was very hard for him, and stressed that he would prefer to work in a stage show or other work if he was not paid a high salary. However, after filming Marvel 4 Superman, The First Steps, he discovered that the films were actually quite similar to stage productions and required a lot of imagination and creativity. His most difficult experience came from the animated film Madagascar blowing up the penguins, because there were thousands of versions of each line, and he couldn't understand why he didn't change the line. News highlights: the Dodgers held a photo day on the 19th, and released a photo of Shohei Ohtani, Yoshin Yamamoto, and Rinchi Sasaki on the official X, with the caption "Triple Threat." At the event, Ohtani imitated the tornado pitching posture of his predecessor Nashige, which made the staff laugh and praised him for being beautiful. In addition, Ohtani practiced the new throwing method without wrapping the arm during the second cow sheet practice and made fine adjustments. The head coach said that Ohtani will not participate in the early warm-up games, but will play as a hitter at the end of February. News highlights: how Sheo married and became pregnant with his Chinese makeup artist wife Lin Ninggrui, which was Hao Shaoan's first time as a father. Lin Ninggrui revealed that he would have a cesarean section and make adequate preparations. Recently, he was photographed shopping on the streets of Taipei, and his belly was pregnant. Hao Shaoan treats Lin Ninggrui's 9-year-old daughter as his own, and has completed the adoption procedures to let the child study in Taiwan. The family keeps a low profile. Hao Shaoan hardly posts on social media, and Lin Ninggrui occasionally shares the latest situation of pregnancy and family. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on Taiwanese goods, imposing 25% tariffs on cars, pharmaceuticals, and chips. TSMC's market capitalization fell out of the top 10 in the world, ranking 11th with only $1.042 trillion. Baird, a U.S. financial institution, revealed that the U.S. government may prompt Intel to cooperate with TSMC to build a wafer fab, and is worried that this plan will lead to a technology outflow. TSMC American depository receipts fell $1.79 on the 19th to close at $200.95. News highlights Taiwan stocks fell 62 points on the 19th, and TSMC fell 10 yuan, closing down 0.91%. Analyst Zhang Zhen believes that TSMC has completed the correction and will usher in a rebound in the future, and is optimistic about the stocks that have the opportunity to turn over in the future, such as Nanyok, Winbond, Huaxin, and Adata. Zhang Zhen pointed out that the current inconspicuous stocks are the opportunity to make a lot of money, and mentioned that UMC also has a chance to rebound. Ruan Huisai, an analyst at UOB International Investment Advisory, said that there was no sign of a head in the broader market, and it was brave to buy. News highlights the ETF market is fiercely competitive, and Yuanta Investment Trust announced a reduction in manager fees and a split of 0050 to attract investors' attention, aiming to meet the 006208 of Fubon Investment Trust. Netizens discussed on social platforms that 006208's regular fixed funds turned to 0050, and they paid attention to US stock ETFs such as 009800. Experts suggest choosing from 3 perspectives: internal deduction fees, interest distribution policy and investment threshold, and emphasize that the lower price of 009800 is suitable for novices to get started. China Trust Investment Trust recommends that long-term investment can focus on ETFs related to US technology stocks. News highlights after the central bank implemented the 7th wave of credit control, the housing market has cooled down, and the housing prices in Liudo have declined, with an average decline of 8.7% in Tainan City. The price of 2-bedroom objects in Tainan has been reduced by 30%, and there are also reductions in places such as Songshan District in Taipei. The reasons for the change in housing prices include the impact of mortgage restrictions, oversupply of housing, and softening of homeowners' mentality. Experts remind home buyers that they should carefully choose the objects of urgent sale to avoid risks such as elderly houses and rezoning. Before buying a house, you should find out the reason for the price reduction, confirm the defects of the object, calculate the holding cost, and choose according to the location. News highlights Yehua Pharma, 6446, responded to the arbitral tribunal statement by AOP, a European distributor, alleging that Yehua had breached the contract, delaying the commercialization of BESREME registered trademark in the European market by 9.5 months, and demanded damages ranging from €331 million to €350 million. Yehua retorted, arguing that there was no delay of 9.5 months and that AOP failed to provide sufficient evidence to support the amount of compensation. Yehua will challenge the claim for damages, emphasizing that it will not be liable until the outcome of the arbitration is determined. News highlights Education Minister Cheng Yingyu announced at the National Conference of College Principals that Taiwan's colleges and universities would be banned from exchanges with Huaqiao University, Guangzhou Jinan University, and Beijing Chinese Language and Culture College in Chinese mainland, and their academic qualifications would no longer be recognized. These schools, which are under the jurisdiction of the United Front Work Department of Chinese mainland, have attracted Taiwanese students to the mainland in recent years. Cheng stressed that if a school has a political agenda, it will be considered a non-academic university and will stop cooperating with it, and warned that tertiary institutions will be held accountable if they violate the rules. News highlights Melody recently revealed that she has a good friend after attending her brother's same-sex wedding and asked everyone to wish her well. Although she has been divorced for more than a year, she is not in a hurry to return to marriage for love, but focuses on living, working and taking care of her children. She stresses that her physical and mental health is very important to her and wants to be able to give herself some space. Despite this, she also shared her wonderful experience at the wedding and was deeply supported and blessed by her brother and friends. News highlights Chen Xiao and Chen Yangzi announced their divorce, ended their 8-year marriage, and said that they would accompany their children to grow up together. Although the two remain silent about the marriage change, they finally made the news public and bid each other to express gratitude and blessings. Speculated on the internet about the distribution of property and the reason for the delay in the announcement of the divorce, and the paparazzi broke the news that Chen Xiao was drunk before the divorce, showing that this matter had a far-reaching impact on him. News highlights Democratic Progressive Party legislator Lin Dehua is actively running for mayor of Kaohsiung in 2026, and was recently accused of fraudulently receiving assistant fees. When Lin Dehua appeared in the investigation bureau, he shouted political interference in the administration of justice, as if he had prepared in advance. The case stems from a 2021 case involving political contributions and the leak of voter transcripts, which has been delayed for 3.5 years before the investigation has only been reopened. If Lin Dehua is involved in the case, or because of the death of her father Lin Saburo, she is in charge of the Service Office and Assistant Affairs. News highlights a suspected child abuse case occurred in Dujin, New Taipei City. A 2-year-old boy surnamed Chen was found unconscious a few days ago with new and old injuries all over his body, and was rushed to the hospital and intubated to survive. The boy, who was previously in the care of his grandfather, was recently picked up by his parents and was suspected of being misdisciplined and abused. The parents initially claimed that the boy had been injured in a fall, but later admitted that he had lost control of his emotions. After the police and social workers intervened, they determined that the boy had been subjected to violence and requested that the boy's parents be transferred to the prosecution for reinterrogation in accordance with the Child and Juvenile Law, the Domestic Violence Prevention and Control Law, and the Criminal Law for Assault. News highlights Sun Sheng was sentenced to 5 months in prison for a sexual harassment case in 2024, and later apologized and posted, but it did not calm the anger of netizens. The anti-Bone Boy announced the termination of his contract with Sun Sheng on the 18th, and his girlfriend Davine also posted that he was distressed by the incident, making netizens speculate whether the two broke up. On the 19th, Sun Sheng issued an apology again, promising to have sex classes and psychological counseling at the meeting to let himself grow. The incident originated in July 2024, when Sun Sheng slapped her buttocks while having dinner with a female friend, and the court found him guilty of sexual harassment. News highlights it is the first time that the Legislative Yuan, in cooperation with the Kuomintang and the People's Party, has made a significant reduction in the total budget for fiscal 2025, but the number of budget cuts has not been clearly listed. Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, legislator Wang Dingyu criticized the Blue and White Caucus for failing to respect the results of the committee's review, arbitrarily cutting the budget and failing to conduct substantive consultations, resulting in disorderly provisions. He accused the Blue and White Caucus of indiscriminately deleting the budget and pushing it to the Executive Yuan, describing its actions as supergiant babies. In addition, DPP Secretary General Wu Saiyao warned that the general budget could harm Taiwan's finances. News highlights Education Minister Cheng Yingyu announced today that the Ministry of Education has decided to stop exchanges and cooperation with Jinan University, Huaqiao University, and Wenhua College in Beijing as they are part of the United Front Work Department of the People's Republic of China. He stressed that the purpose of these schools is based on the purpose of the United Front, not purely academic development. Cheng Yingyao said the policy would promote Taiwanese students' school choices, stressing that if students still choose to attend these schools, the Ministry of Education will no longer recognize their academic qualifications. News highlights Wang Ji publicly accused the KMT of using the roster of party members to create fake signatures, and exposed a number of cases of falsifying evidence. She mentioned that one supporter, whose name had not been involved in the recall of the signature, received an inquiry slip from the EC and found that there were a large number of similar handwriting on the petition slip. Mr. Huang questioned whether the KMT had provided a roster and charged the recall and said he would file a complaint with prosecutors alleging forgery and improper access to personal information. The Kuomintang dismissed the accusation as nonsense and stressed respect for the autonomy of citizens groups. News highlights Chen Yuzhen faced the unsuccessful delivery of the first phase of the recall team to Zhen Jinmen, and issued a message thanking the Kinmen villagers for their support and expressing her gratitude for the team's efforts and hard work. Although the recall campaign did not meet the target, Chen Yuzhen stressed the independence and kindness of the Kinmen people, called for support for cross-strait peace and economic development, and stressed that the Kinmen people should have an equal voice. She is full of hope for the future of Gammon and said that she will continue to work hard for Gammon's development. News highlights CAO Xing Cheng recently issued another article against Xia Hanbing, accusing him of disseminating indecent photos, and speculated that these photos were illegally obtained by the CCP and handed over to Xia Hanbing to slander him and obstruct the recall action. CAO Xing Cheng strongly refuted Xia Hanbing's revelations and said that the photos had been altered with the intention of damaging his reputation. He also stressed that Xia Hanbing's actions were illegal and said that Xia Hanbing did not realize that he had violated the election law. Although CAO Xing Cheng was outraged by the incident, he remained confident that it would not be affected and called on the public to participate in the general recall action. He strongly condemned Mr. Xia's actions and linked them to those of the Chinese Communist Party, saying it underscored the need for a recall. News highlights Democratic Progressive Party legislator Lin Dehua, who was rumored to be involved in the assistant fee case, was investigated and searched early this morning, 20th, including the Legislative Yuan, service offices, and residences. In this regard, Lin Dehua was emotional when he was at Nanji Station, shouting judicial interference in politics, political interference in the judiciary, judicial interference in the primary election, which was captured and exposed by the camera. Lin Dehua's service office later issued a statement, saying that she had complied with the law during her tenure, and that all related expenses had been handled legally, and stressed that she would cooperate with the investigation and wait for the truth to protect her innocence. The incident has also raised concerns, especially in the context of her planned contest for the next Kaohsiung mayoral election, which could have an impact on her political career. News highlights today, 20th. The weather in Taiwan is warmer, the temperature is comfortable during the day, but it is cooler in the morning and evening. There were brief rains in the eastern half and Matsu, while other places were cloudy to sunny. The high temperature during the day can reach 23-26 degrees C in the western half and 21-23 degrees C in the east. Note that the cold weather will hit from the 23rd to the 25th, and the temperature will drop significantly, and the early morning will be particularly cold, so you need to pay attention to keep warm. News highlights: Lin Dehua, the Democratic Progressive Party's candidate for the Kaohsiung mayoral primary election, was searched by the Procuratorate today, 20, for being involved in the assistant fee case and brought back to Nanji Station for investigation. After Lin Dehua saw the media camera, he held up a blank paper and shouted political interference in the judiciary and judicial interference in the primary election, which lasted for 35 seconds, completely ignoring the investigation and obstruction. Lin Dehua's service issued a statement emphasizing that she has always acted in accordance with the law during her tenure and will cooperate with the judicial investigation and wait for her innocence. She is currently in the first place in the polls, and it remains to be seen whether it will affect the election. News highlights: the New Taipei City Police received a report on the 18th and found that a 2-year-old boy was suspected of being abused, with multiple bruises on his body, and had been sent to the hospital in a coma. The boy's parents initially denied the violence, saying that the child had been lectured by his uncle for disobedience, but when questioned by the police, they admitted that they had left the child alone at home after picking them up, and only provided milk. The police determined that his behavior was suspected of infant abuse, and transferred the couple to the New Taipei District Prosecutor's Office for investigation. At present, the boy is still intubated in the intensive care unit, and the prosecutor is investigating the case and pursuing the relevant responsibility. News highlights: Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, legislator Lin Dehua was investigated and searched early today, 20th, on suspicion of fraudulent receipt of assistant fees, including the congressional office, service office, and home. The incident has left her political prospects uncertain, as she had planned to run for the next mayor of Kaohsiung. The 52-year-old Lin Dehua, who used to be known as Stephanie Son of Congress because of her special style of questioning in Congress, and was sometimes nicknamed Xionggu in the party, has certain differences between her stance and proposition and the progressive values of the DPP, which has also caused controversy on some issues. News highlights: Xia Hanbing broke the news on the 17th that CAO Xingcheng had an extramarital affair with a Chinese woman Shan Zonghua, and made private photos public. CAO Xingcheng then filed a lawsuit for 100 million yuan and accused Xia Hanbing of disseminating altered photos to invade privacy. On the 19th, CAO Xingcheng issued a statement emphasizing that the photo had been altered, and accused Xia Hanbing of violating the election law. Xia Hanbing retorted that CAO Xingcheng believed that the photo was private, which confused him. Yin Neijing believes that if Xia Hanbing does his duty of proof, there will be no defamation problem, and questions why CAO Xingcheng did not directly deny the affair. News highlights: 3 fires broke out in a courtyard house in Xiangtian, Erlin, Zhonghua, in just 1 month, because the owner of the house, a 38-year-old man surnamed Chen, set fire to his anger after an unsuccessful argument with his father for money. On January 26th, February 17th and 18th, 3 consecutive fires were set on fire, causing serious damage to the courtyard. After Chen Nan asked his father for 40,000 yuan and was refused, he not only beat his father, but also set fire to it again. The police arrested Chen Nan and applied for detention on the 20th. Further investigation is ongoing. News highlights: Hao Shaoan, who debuted as a child star, is now 35 years old and will become a father. In recent years, he has reduced his acting work to focus on live streaming, married a Chinese wife, and settled in Taiwan. Hao Shaoan used to earn a good income streaming in China, but as the importance of family life has increased, he has reduced his live streaming workload and said he wants to devote more time to his family. Still, if there is a good script, he will still take it. Live streaming makes quick money, but there are also risks. Hao Shaoan once clarified that he did not participate in any sales in Taiwan. News highlights: the 48-year-old actress Da.S, Su Ziwan, died of influenza complicated by pneumonia in Japan, and her sister Xiao S, Su Zidi, confirmed that she would be buried in a tree according to Da.S.'s wishes. The original funeral ceremony has been postponed because of the actions of Da.S.'s husband Gu Junyi. It is reported that Gu Junyi hoped to find an exclusive physical worship site for Da.S, and after discussing with his family, he decided to choose a new burial location. He said that he hopes to have a place where he can visit Da.S at any time and be able to accompany her well. News highlights: after losing re-election in 2024, former DPP legislator Gao Jiao was rumored to be interested in taking over as chairman of Shinshin Dazhong Department Store, but on the 19th, the company announced that it would be replaced by Li Weining, former Deputy Secretary General of the Taipei City Government. In this regard, former legislator Guo Zhengliang analyzed that Li Weining has a deep relationship with Xie and Zhou Rongta, the premier, and this personnel change may symbolize that Li King still hopes that Gao Jiao will rerun for Hong Kong and Lake legislators in 2028. Guo Zhengliang mentioned that since Taiwan's candidate Wu Zinde is not expected to be elected, Lai Ching-te may focus on Gao Jiao and hope that she will participate in grassroots elections and wait 2 years before running for legislature. News highlights: after the sudden death of DS, Su Ziwan, Wang Xiafei will become the legal representative of her children in accordance with the provisions of the civil law, and may control 2/3 of DS's property, which will cause a turmoil over property. Wang Xiafei plans to return to Taiwan from Beijing and prepare to confront the S family. In this regard, Xiao's husband Su Yijin only said thank you for your concern and called for not disturbing the family, emphasizing that the family wants to keep a low profile. After the death of Big S, the S family faced many challenges, and Xiao took a leave of absence for half a year, while Su Yijin fully assisted in taking care of the family and handling legal affairs, becoming an important support force for the S family. News highlights: Taipei City's Lanying legislators are facing a wave of recall, and 5 members, Wang Hengwei, Li Yangziu, Luo Haiqiang, Su Qiaoxin, and Lai Shiveo, have entered the recall procedure. Guo Zhengliang said that Zhang Wanan and other Blue Committee members are stable, Wang Hengwei does not need to worry, and Su Qiaoxin needs to pay attention to the emotions of supporters. The recall will enter its second phase and spark criticism that legislators should be decided by votes. News highlights: recently, there have been an endless number of fraud cases in Taiwan, and the police announced a telephone scam case, in which the victim received a call from a person claiming to be from a post office, informing him that his identity card had been fraudulently used to apply for a rental subsidy, and transferred to a police officer to request cooperation in the investigation, and instructed the victim to transfer his savings to a safe account in order to avoid being implicated. The victim verified the authenticity of the number, believed it, and found out that he had been deceived after sending 8.94 million yuan. The police reminded that the police will not ask for transfer or escrow of property, and should hang up and verify immediately when receiving a suspicious call. News highlights: CAO Xing Cheng was revealed to be suspected of having a junior in the mainland, and exposed intimate photos, initially denied the authenticity of the photos, and alleged that they were synthesized by AI, and threatened to sue for 100 million in compensation. However, he later changed his story and admitted that the woman in the photo was a real mainland woman, and said that the photo had been altered to make it more indecent. Chen Yi criticized CAO Xing Cheng's inconsistencies and emphasized that CAO Xing Cheng, as a public figure, had nothing to do with the recall case, and his marital affairs could be discussed. Netizens have left messages on this and expressed various views. News highlights: US President Trump signed an executive order on the 14th to establish the National Energy Leadership Council, NEDC, to respond to the growing demand for artificial intelligence, AI, power in the United States. Trump pointed out that AI factories require at least twice as much power as they do now. This news drove the stock price of the 4 heavy power companies to rise sharply, and Yalai, Huachun, ZTE, and Shidian all rose significantly, especially Huachun, Yalai and other companies stood at the quarter mark. Wei Xiong said that AI will become the main growth driver in the future, and plans to expand the proportion of export sales and production capacity. News highlights: Sunsun Semiconductor has benefited from the expansion of global wafer fabs, especially the advanced progress of TSMC's US factory, which has driven the growth of demand for recycled wafers, and the market outlook is optimistic. Sunsun Semiconductor's stock price has recently risen by more than 5%, hitting a new high, and is expected to exceed 180 yuan. In 2024, the revenue will hit a new high in a single quarter, with annual revenue of 3.551 billion yuan, an annual increase of 6.73%, and an annual increase of 57.7% in net profit after tax. The company expects to set a new record in the first quarter of 2025 and accelerate the expansion plan, with an estimated capital expenditure of 3.525 billion yuan, moving towards the global leader in recycled wafers. News highlights: Costco will adjust salaries from April 1, 2025 to enhance salary competitiveness. The starting salary of an assistant was increased from $243 to $253 per hour, while the starting salary of a waiter was raised from $261 to $271, representing an increase of about 3.7% to 3.8%. In addition, the most senior waiter earns $384 per hour and $66,432 per month. It has been 3 years since the last adjustment, and it is expected that the salary increase will be an average of another 2% per year in 2026 and 2027. Costco has more than 7,000 employees in Taiwan, with a good welfare package and a turnover rate of less than 3%. News highlights: some people have received a notice from the Inland Revenue Department that since the husband and wife are regarded as the same household after marriage, the two residential land for self-use exceed the quota, and the land value tax shall be levied at the general tax rate. According to the land tax law, a husband and wife can only own one house that is eligible for the preferential tax rate for self-use, but if the second house is actually occupied by an adult immediate family member, they can apply for the second owner-occupied home tax rate. The Inland Revenue Department reminds that the application must be made within 40 days before the start of the annual land premium tax, and if the application is overdue, it will take effect in the following year. News highlights: the 2025 World University Reputation Rankings are published by the UK's Times Higher Education, and Harvard University in the United States has topped the list for 14 consecutive years, while the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and the University of Oxford are tied for second place. National Taiwan University is the only university in Taiwan to make the list, ranking between 101 and 150. The list expanded to 300 universities, with Tsinghua University in Beijing, 8th, and the University of Tokyo in Japan, 10th, in Asia. National Taiwan University's ranking has risen from last year, indicating the improvement of its academic strength. News highlights: actor Zhang Luwei, chubby brother, passed away on January 29, 2025 at the age of 56, and he enjoyed wide popularity. He starred in classic military education films such as Dog Egg Soldier and Report Squad Leader 3. The farewell ceremony will be held at 9:45 a.m. on February 22 in the Orchid Hall of Babaoshan Funeral Home in Beijing. The family issued a statement saying that Zhang Luwei loved acting all his life, was upright, and was deeply loved by relatives and friends, and asked relatives and friends to send him on his last journey. News highlights: Chinese mainland's 18-year-old anti-cancer internet celebrity Shen Bao died on February 16 at the age of 18 after 3 years of fighting cancer. Shen Bao's Douyin account, which he runs with his mother, confirmed his death and revealed that he had received an acceptance letter from the university shortly before his death, and that he had hoped for a new life, but it was not realized. Shen Bao was diagnosed with osteosarcoma at the age of 15, a cancer that progresses rapidly and has a very high mortality rate. News highlights: the police department of the Ministry of Home Affairs shared a case of fraud in which the victim received a call from a post office claiming to be from a post office, showing that the call started with +886, claiming that his identity card had been fraudulently used to apply for rental subsidy, and asked to cooperate with the investigation. He was then transferred to a fraudulent police officer claiming to be from the Kaohsiung City Police Department, who asked for a line ID and sent fake official documents, further defrauding a total of 8,947,500 yuan. The police reminded that calls starting with +886 are usually scam calls, and provide anti-fraud advice. If the police will not ask for escrow of property or remittance, if you receive a suspicious call, you should hang up immediately and verify. News highlights: in Taiwan's political arena, the confrontation between the Kuomintang and the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, is still fierce, especially the discussion on the issue of the general recall has attracted a lot of attention. Cai Jianming, the head of the DPP's Legislative Yuan Caucus, took the lead in speaking out, and it was rumored that President Liking would participate in the call, but was subsequently refuted by the government. Veteran media person Wu Zijia pointed out that Liking has lost the support of the people, and predicted that Cai Wen's may soon return to politics, especially after Liking's image collapses. He will not be able to carry out political revenge, which will also have a far-reaching impact on the election situation. News highlights: as the 11th legislator turns 1 year into office, Taiwan's recall wave has intensified. As of February 19, the Central Election Commission had received a total of 64 recall motions, of which as many as 54 were against incumbent legislators, with the KMT having the most 34 legislators and the DPP having 17, including non-party legislators. Former legislator Guo Zhengliang broke the news that the results of this general recall are not optimistic within the Green camp, especially the situation of the 2 indigenous legislators is quite dangerous. He pointed out that there is also a belief within the DPP that the recall campaign may fail, and that many legislators who have been included in the recall list are dissatisfied, especially the DPP's poll results, which Guo Zhengliang believes cannot be trusted, and stressed that the Green camp has clearly known that this battle may be lost. News highlights: the mortality rate of esophageal cancer in Hualien is 1.77 times that of the whole Taiwan, and more than 90% of the patients are men. Smoking, drinking alcohol, and chewing betel nut are the main carcinogenic factors, and if all 3 are present, the risk of cancer can be increased by 79 times. The best way to prevent esophageal cancer is to quit smoking, alcohol, and betel nut, and early detection and treatment are crucial. News highlights: the recent fierce attack in defense of the government and the opposition in the Legislative Yuan has triggered a wave of recalls across Taiwan. According to a TVBS poll, the satisfaction of KMT legislators is 41%, the DPP 28%, and the People's Party 33%. The satisfaction rate of DPP legislators dropped by 5 percentage points from last year to 28%. Satisfaction with the KMT and the People's Party has risen, with people aged 20 to 29 feeling satisfied with KMT legislators rising to 37%, while satisfaction with the DPP falling to 25%. Satisfaction with DPP legislators among the 40 to 59-year-old group also declined, to 28% and 25%, respectively. News highlights: when Ren Xiankai recently rode a motorcycle to promote a concert in Nanjing, he was not familiar with the local road conditions and broke into a restricted area, and was fined by the local police and rushed to the hot search on Weibo. He revealed that he borrowed the motorcycle from a rider, because the license plate was limited and he did not know the restricted area, but he was filmed by the camera and received a ticket after violating the law. He promised to pay attention to the traffic rules next time. News highlights: at the Miami summit, Trump warned that World War III was imminent, but stressed that it would not happen during his tenure, and said that if Biden was in office for another year, war would break out. He talked about the conflict between the Middle East and Russia and Ukraine, and claimed that he is taking active actions to end the war and restore peace. Despite allies' concerns about his diplomatic stance, Trump has ruled confidently and proclaimed himself king in the community, and White House X has shared an article on him wearing a crown. News highlights: Wang Xiaofei was revealed to have accumulated about 250 million yuan in outstanding loans and borrowings for luxury houses in Taipei Xinyi, and had borrowed hundreds of millions of yuan from Big S, only repaying more than 5 million yuan. With the death of Da S, he may be able to control part of the estate as the legal representative of his children. The S family said that they would take legal action to deal with it. SS mother responded strongly. Wang Xiaofei is expected to arrive in Taiwan on the 20th to deal with the issue of property and child custody, and Xiao SS husband Su Yejin responded in a low-key manner, and the family hopes that the outside world will not disturb. News highlights: internet celebrity Sun Sheng was convicted of sexual harassment because of the buttocks assault case, and after the verdict, controversy arose due to attitude issues, and the anti-bone boy announced the termination of the contract with him. On the 19th, Sun Sheng issued a black background apology, apologizing to the victim and his girlfriend Dove, and said that he would take sex classes and psychological counseling for self-growth. The post sparked polar reactions from netizens, with some encouraging him to change, while others questioned the lack of sincerity in the apology, bluntly saying that my friend deserves better. News highlights: the Kinmen Civic Group Zhen prevented Kinmen from initiating the recall of Kuomintang legislator Chen Yuzhen, but it was declared a failure on the 19th because the number of re-signatories did not reach the threshold. Chen Yuzhen then issued a message thanking more than 99% of the villagers in Kinmen for their support and criticizing the vicious fighting of the political party. Kuomintang chairman Zhu Lailun responded on the 20th that it was difficult for the Acid Democratic Progressive Party to sign the list on the outer islands of Kinmen and Matsu, and called for returning to the right track to avoid the evil strike affecting Taiwan's development. News highlights: on February 11th, the first bus did not depart due to scheduling problems, and on the 19th, it was delayed for 45 minutes due to the driver's diarrhea, causing students to wait for no car and parents to rush to pick up. County councilors criticized the need for an immediate notification mechanism to avoid affecting school attendance. The county government's Transportation and Tourism Office responded that it has asked the industry to strengthen the reporting mechanism and staff training to prevent similar situations from happening again. News highlights: Apple announced the iPhone 160 on the 20th, replacing the SE series, with the price starting at NT $21,900, and pre-orders were open on the 21st, and it was released on the 28th. The iPhone 160 is equipped with an A18 chip, a self-developed C1 modem, a 6.1-inch full-screen design, and supports Face ID, with the strongest battery life ever. The main camera has 48 million pixels and supports 4K Dolby Vision recording in night mode. Apple Intelligence removes distracting elements from photos, and Chinese will be supported in April. News highlights: an office worker in Taipei City was busy with work, mistakenly believed in the scam email of etc. parking fee deduction failure notice, clicked on the link and entered his credit card information, but his account was stolen and swiped 50,000 yuan. The police department of the Ministry of Home Affairs reminds that fraud methods are emerging one after another, and the public should be vigilant and do not trust unsolicited links to avoid financial losses. News highlights: the news of Chen Yangzi and Chen Xiao's marriage change has attracted attention, and some netizens have dug out the old article of Chen Xiao's former agent Yu Zheng, implying that Chen Xiao still has feelings for his former rumored girlfriend Zhao Liying, and even some A-character experts speculate that the two have a high chance of getting back together. As the scandal between Chen Xiao and Zhao Liying was discussed again, Yu Zheng responded, "Learn more AI and less archaeology, don't take it seriously," seems to deny the rumors. News highlights: a Taiwanese traveler handed over the goods to a friend to settle the payment in Japan when he was queuing for checkout, but was stopped by the clerk and asked to queue up again. Afterwards, the clerk privately criticized the quality of Taiwanese again, which caused the original Po to feel sad and reflective. This incident reflects the inappropriate behavior of some Taiwanese tourists abroad, the lack of respect for local culture, and the questioning of Taiwan's international image. News highlights Taipei's senior producer surnamed Chu was sued by Zheng Gong for 3 million yuan due to his 30-year extramarital affair with the former general manager of the TV station. The court ruled that Chu Nu had violated her spousal rights, but considering that Zheng Gong had not affected her husband's family life after discovering that her husband had had an affair and that the mental damage was short, Chu Nu was sentenced to pay 200,000 yuan in compensation. Zheng Gong claimed that her husband had an intimate relationship with Chu Nu and remitted 3,455,000 yuan to Chu Nu for moral compensation. Chu Nu argued that Zheng Gong had known about the matter and that the statute of limitations had expired. The judgment is subject to appeal. News highlights Kaohsiung Democratic Progressive Party legislator Lin Dehua is suspected of assistant fee case, and in the early morning of today, 20th, the prosecutor and the transfer of troops went to the Legislative Yuan service offices and residences to search, and the operation is still ongoing. When Lin Dehua faced the media, he held a note and shouted angrily political interference in the judiciary, judicial interference in the primary election, and was then taken to the South Station of the Municipal Investigation Office. News highlights the recall signatures of the KMT's 34-seat regional legislators have been sent to the Central Election Committee, and the DPP's 14-seat legislators are facing counter-recall pressure, with Yayuanxi being the KMT's main target. Former legislator Guo Zhengliang suggested that if Li Sichuan intends to run for mayor of New Taipei in 2026, he should rescue Yayuanxi and show his strength. He said that as long as Yayuanxi cooperates with Li Sichuan and actively sweeps the streets, he is expected to succeed. Guo Zhengliang also mentioned that President Li Qiang will support the DPP's anti-recall action, showing his concern for the legislature. News highlights Xia Hanbing recently broke the news that UMC founder Cao Xingcheng has a close relationship with mainland woman Shan Zonghua, and exposed a number of private photos. At first, Cao Xingcheng denied and called the photo AI synthesis, but later changed his words and admitted that it was a private photo, which caused Xia Hanbing to be puzzled and questioned. Xia Hanbing said that the photo was not taken secretly, and stressed that Cao Xingcheng was unwilling to answer whether he had political ties or money laundering with the woman, and believed that this was the most noteworthy part. News highlights Kaohsiung Mayor Chen Kamai expressed his hope that the prosecutor would clarify the truth as soon as possible in the case of DPP legislator Lin Dehua suspected of fraudulently receiving assistant fees. Lin Dehua's office and service office were searched by the prosecutor, and he stressed in a statement that he would cooperate with the judicial investigation and expected to prove his innocence. Lai Rulong did not respond to this, while KZN of the Kuomintang said that the incident was a judicial case and should be explained by the prosecutor. The case could have an impact on the 2026 Kaohsiung mayoral election. News highlights as of the 19th, the Central Election Commission had received a total of 64 recall cases, of which 54 were legislators. The latest polls show that a majority of the population, regardless of whether the blue or green committees are against the recall. For the blue committee, 44% did not support the recall, 30% supported. For the Green Committee, 41% did not support it, and 30% supported it. While support for the recall of legislators from both parties is low, the DPP should note that the proportion of those who support the recall of the Green Committee is higher, and the proportion of those who do not support the removal of the Green Committee, 41%, is lower than that of the Blue Committee, 44%. News highlights Green Committee member Lin Dehua was suspected of being investigated and searched for fraudulently receiving assistant fees, which caused a political shock, and she is also one of the popular candidates for the 2026 Kaohsiung mayoral election. The incident coincides with the announcement of Interior Minister Liu Shifang's intention to run for mayor of Kaohsiung, which may further complicate the election situation of the DPP. Lin Dehua and other potential candidates such as Chu Yiying and Lai Rulong are leading each other in the polls, but due to the chaos of the DPP's primary, there may be factional consolidation, and even push Liu Shifang to return to the pot to run to avoid repeating the mistakes of the 2018 election. News highlights to SS sudden death during the Spring Festival made her family, especially SS mother, deeply saddened, and publicly stated that she wanted to seek justice for her daughter. After Wang Xiaofei divorced DS, she still owed more than 250 million yuan in debt, mainly from Wang Xiaofei's loan from DS to operate S hotel and other expenses. Although Wang Xiaofei only repaid part of it, there are still large amounts of arrears that have not been paid, and alimony and moral compensation have not been paid, and the outside world is concerned about whether Wang Xiaofei needs to continue to repay these debts. News highlights Cao Xingcheng, who promoted the general recall, was recently revealed by Xia Hanbing to have a close relationship with Shan Zonghua, chairman of the mainland Xianyou Cultural Development Company. The reporter found Shan Zonghua's phone number according to the search engine, but could not get through, and WeChat showed mobile phone data repair. Cao Xingcheng denied the extramarital affair at first, but later admitted that the photo was true but had been altered, and angrily criticized Xia Hanbing. Shan Zonghua is the legal representative of a number of companies, and their enterprises are operating normally. News highlights Cao Yuan, the best female singer in Taiwanese at the Golden Melody Awards, was recently followed by a female illegitimate student at Bangqiao Station and grabbed her luggage. The woman asked Cao Yan to lift the blockade, but she did not listen to dissuasion, and even tried to snatch her luggage at one point. Cao Yan said that she felt forced and questioned that the other party was following her, and the police arrested the suspect in accordance with the law of coercion, damage, and complication and transferred to the prosecution and investigation after receiving the report. News highlights in 2022, a South Korean female college student took a taxi back to her dormitory, and on the way, because the driver drove the wrong way and did not respond to her inquiry, she mistakenly thought that she had been kidnapped, so she jumped out of the car and was run over by a car from behind. The court found that the taxi driver could not have foreseen her panic and that it was difficult for the rear driver to spot the female student without street lights, and both drivers were acquitted and the Supreme Court dismissed the appeal. News highlights as of December 2023, the number of insured people under labor insurance has reached 10,479,300, with an average insured salary of 35,347 yuan. The number of recipients of labor insurance old age pension is the largest, with 1,870,900 people receiving it last year, with an average of 19,367 yuan per person. If you are 60 years old or older and have been insured for 15 years, you can receive an annuity. If you do not have enough seniority, you can only receive the pension once. In addition, if the labor insurance seniority is insufficient, you can also receive a double annuity if you change to the national pension and combine the seniority. News highlights Big S, Su Ziwan, died suddenly of influenza complicated by pneumonia during the Spring Festival at the age of 48, and the news shocked all walks of life. Best friend Aya mentioned Da's death for the first time in the live broadcast on the 19th, and her eyes were choked with tears, saying that Da doesn't like others to be sad and hopes that everyone will cherish every reunion. She emphasized that every fate should be kind to each other and emotionally appealed not to let the atmosphere become heavy. News highlights Kim Sa-Iran died suddenly on the 16th at the age of 24, bringing her past controversial events back into focus. In 2022, she crashed into a guardrail and street tree due to a drunk driving accident, causing a power outage in 57 surrounding stores. After the incident, Kim Sa-Iran publicly apologized and personally apologized to the affected merchants and compensated for the losses. Despite her remorse and efforts to make amends, the drunk driving incident still dealt a major blow to her acting career and sparked regret and discussion among fans and netizens. News highlights actress Chen Yangzi and mainland actor Chen Xia recently announced their divorce, and rumors of marriage change have long been leaked. The mainland paparazzi broke the news that before the divorce, Chen Xia was photographed so drunk that he even needed the support of the two to walk, and bowed his head to talk to the people around him, making the outside world speculate about the reason for the drunkenness. The video was first published in June 2024, but it was not linked to the marriage change at the time. Chen Xia and Chen Yangzi got married in 2016, and they were still photographed holding hands during the epidemic in 2022, but finally officially announced their divorce on February 18, 2025, emphasizing that they were okay with each other. News highlights Japanese actress Kana Hashimoto has transformed into an actor in recent years, and although she has been praised for hosting the NHK Red and White singing contest, her workplace bullying controversy continues to ferment. Last year, reports accusing her of insulting her agents on the set led to the departure of as many as 8 agents, and although the agency denied it, the incident has not subsided. Recently, it was revealed that Kana Hashimoto resigned due to physical and mental disorders during the filming of the morning drama Royal Rice Ball. The agent had accompanied her on all her work trips, and Hashimoto seemed to have a harsher attitude towards the accompanying agent compared to the others. News highlights artist Lin Yunwei recently had an unfortunate incident while traveling in Kyoto, revealing that she lost a wallet of about 300,000 yen, about NT $65,000, in a kimono store. She expressed her frustration on social media and reminded fans to be especially careful of valuables when wearing kimonos, and to carry their wallets and passports with them. Despite feeling disappointed by the theft, she struggled to remain optimistic and made an emotional statement to the thieves. Lim stressed that she would learn from the experience and remind everyone to stay safe and wait for the results of the police investigation. News highlights Trump recently accused Zelensky of provoking the Russia-Ukraine war, criticized the United States for investing a lot of aid but without effect, calling him a dictator and questioning where the aid money goes. Zelensky retorted, pointing out that Trump lives in a world of disinformation and stressed that Ukraine cannot hold elections due to martial law. CNN reported that Trump's statement is inconsistent with the facts, and the amount of European aid to Ukraine is higher than that of the United States. News highlights TSMC veteran Chen Jianbang said that the key to TSMC's success lies in Taiwan's unique industrial climate and culture, and the United States has wrong expectations for TSMC to set up factories in the United States and fails to understand these subtle conditions for success. He stressed that the United States should have empathy in the middle of things and understand TSMC's operating model. Chen Jianbang gave an example of TSMC employees putting in a lot of effort to commit to it, and without a collaborative environment, it will be difficult for the United States to successfully take over Intel's foundry business.